You're listening to the Illinois District Men's Ministries.
This is called Fake Tools for Real Men. How to use ChatGPT to improve yourself as a husband and as a father. And of course, our theme for the week is on your badge there, no filter. And we're talking about being authentic, about being real, how easy it is to put up masks and pretend. And I've got a little bit of a weird sense of humor, and so as I was looking at different topics we might want to consider, I thought, oh yeah, I like the irony of the whole fake AI, it's not real ChatGPT versus we're talking about being real and authentic and transparent and so on. So I thought that'd be fun to play with. Let me ask real quick, how many of you have used ChatGPT at one time or another? Okay, how many have not?
What's it mean?
Okay.
That's what I was going to ask. Thank you.
And again, this is going to be fun because I had no idea who I could show up, and so we'll try to reach for everybody in the short time we've got. No worries. I'll be glad to explain in just a minute what it means. Of those who use ChatGPT, how many would say at least 2 or 3 times a week you're using ChatGPT? You're using it on the regular. Okay. A few of you. Okay. Good deal. All right. I will express right off, I am no ChatGPT expert. Do not pretend to be. I have come to use it quite a bit. I use it probably close to daily for one reason or another, whether it's in business, in personal life, in ministry things, or what have you. And so I'll try to cover all the bases to give something for the guys who are saying, I don't even know what this is, as well as perhaps something for the guys who say, yeah, I use it on the regular, and I'm always looking for a new and different, unique way to use it. So we'll be maybe a little bit all over the map today because of that, but I think that's okay. So ChatGPT is simply one, quite honestly, of several apps, or if you want to think in terms of pieces of software or programs that are out there that are artificial intelligence. ChatGPT has kind of skyrocketed very quickly to being the most commonly used one against just kind of with everyday people like us. There are many other artificial intelligence or AI apps out there as well. Some of them maybe that do very similar things as Chat or ChatGPT does. Some of them that are a little more specialized. Well, hey, if you want to do graphics and stuff, you want to use this. Or if you're wanting to work with music and audio, you want to use that. ChatGPT is kind of your middle of the road. It does a little bit of everything. It's a little bit of a generalist when it comes to that. One way to think of ChatGPT is, if you think in terms of, most of us are familiar with how Google works. So if you start out with the idea of Google. Google is a search engine. I can ask it, hey Google, at what temperature does water boil? Right? And it can come back and tell me. You can look things up with Google. Think of ChatGPT as, in many ways, an interactive Google. Not only will it answer a question or pull websites for you that you can go to, ChatGPT often takes the next step, has read all those websites for you, and is ready to talk to you about what it is that you need or are talking with it. One of the things I really love about ChatGPT is you can get an idea going and be able to continually work at the nuance of it. It can give a suggestion, and I can say, I like one part of this, let's go in this direction, and it says, okay, I'll pivot, and let's talk about this, and go down this avenue, and you can keep working at it until you get what it is that you want. You can use it for just about anything. Today we're going to talk about how we can use it to be better dads and husbands, quite honestly. So, with that in mind...
Single guys.
What's that?
What about us single guys?
Next week is the class on how to use it to get a woman. Oh man, there's a reason they don't let me do this a lot. Okay. Of course, I'll throw out a couple of kind of caveats or acknowledge some of them. Some people are kind of scared of ChatGPT. ChatGPT is no different than any other piece of technology. If you use Google, you're using fairly similar tech. What Chat does, though, it does have access to essentially all of the internet, and it can field within that. And really, it's just throwing out numbers and logarithms with regard to what the response would be chat can't think for itself technically, but you'll feel like it thinks for itself if you haven't used it in the past. Really can get some cool things out of it. It is certainly a fake thing, and with that, I hear a lot of like standoff from that. Oh, I don't use it for sermon prep. I sure don't say, hey chat, give me 1,000-word sermon on grace, print, and walk to the pulpit. No, don't do that. That's nonsense. But friend, if you're not using chat somewhere in your sermon prep, you're missing out. Because if you'll use a concordance or you'll use a commentary off the shelf, man, chat can work 10 times as fast as that. You know.
Does it acknowledge Bible scripture?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things, hope we get to talk about maybe a little bit more, you can prompt chat so that you can ask it any question in the world you want. Hey chat, what does Acts chapter 1 verse 8 say? And it'll spit it back to it. And then you can say, hey, I'd like to hear that in the NIV. And it'll say, okay, and then it'll spit it back to you in the NIV. You can ask it any kind of question like that. But what's most effective is when you give chat a little bit of context. Hey chat, I'm wanting to understand more about what was happening in the culture at the time that Acts chapter 1 was written. I gave it context. Please take on the role of an apostolic, oneness Pentecostal Bible scholar and tell me what was happening in Acts chapter 1 verse 16. And it will do it from that perspective. And really give some good things. Now, I will tell you, chat isn't perfect. Every now and then it has what we typically call hallucinations. It makes stuff up sometimes. Now, there's a world of good in it. So use it, just don't trust it. Think of it as like a really great researcher for you, but trust but verify. It's like a really good reason. Yes, sir.
I found out some of my actual paper commentaries also have hallucinations in them.
Absolutely. Chat's not the only one that'll come up with some false info, that's for sure. So you want to use it, but you do want to verify what's going on. Some of what we're going to talk about today isn't so much about facts or about what this scripture means. It's about some helpful and creative ideas, and that's where chat is at its finest, is when you can work kind of creativity and nuance with it. So yes, it's artificial, but it can be used for some really great and real purposes. All right. So sometimes it can be weird, like be a better husband because of ChatGPT. Like why would I use some fake piece of AI, in my marriage? Well, I don't know. Why would you use the wrenches in your toolbox to fix your wife's car? Because you can't just turn that nut by yourself. You need a tool, right? Doesn't make you weak because you had to get out the ratchet set. It means you knew what to use and what to get so that you could fix something or so that you could improve something. And chat as a tool is no different than any tools in your garage or on your computer or anything else. It can be used for good or for evil. It can be used for all manner of things. I think we as apostolics might as well utilize what's there and be able to use it for some good things. So that's what we're looking at. God calls us to be wise stewards. And so wisdom means using tools well. ChatGPT isn't a crutch of some kind. It's a resource. Just like, boy, you had to use a hammer to get that nail in the wood? No, that's not a crutch. That's what you use if you want to hammer a nail in. It doesn't make me weak. It makes me smart if I know how to do this, right? So that's kind of what we're looking at with that. Let me get, I want to spend a decent bit of time doing some practical stuff and just kind of showing and demonstrating, again, both for some of you who never used chat in your life, as well as for some of you guys who are using it on the regular. Like I said, I don't think that I'm one step above you, but I might just be able to kick off a few ideas and go, oh, I hadn't thought of doing it like that, and then you're off to the races there as well. One thing about chat, by the way, is when you're not sure what to do, you can ask chat what to do. It's really kind of a funny loop there, but you certainly can. So what we're talking about today is I want to be a better dad, and I want to be a better husband, right? And so I'm going to use whatever tool I can. First of all, I'll just point out to you a few tools I've used over the years to be a better dad and a better husband. Some of the tools that I've used are my library, the hundreds of volumes of books that I own, many of them about marriage, about raising kids, about being a father, about manhood. Anybody read a book like that at all, anywhere, somehow? Right? So you're doing some of the same things. I want to capitalize on the wisdom of somebody else so I can be a better dad or show up as a better husband or a leader in my family. So it's, and again, akin to that, I use tools like that. Other tools that I use to be better in these areas are other men, right? And so, I've got role models in my life, and I've got guys like Jonathan Blake that's here that I look up to, and not just because he's a head taller than me, but that I look up to and say, there's a man who's raised 4 boys that are all in the church and in ministry and so on. He and his wife did something right. And so when I see guys like that, I go, wonder what he did. Wonder how he did it. And I pay attention to guys that are around me, whether you've got a dad in your life, a pastor in your life, a mentor in your life. We use tools like this. I'm just pointing out. And so chat, as we're going to attempt to use it, is one other tool amongst the bin of tools that we can use. All right, so let's just jump into a few kind of episodes here. Some different pressure points as a husband or a dad or whatever. Let's see. Anybody buy your wife a card like on Valentine's Day or on her birthday? You go to Hallmark and you pay $1.99. No, you now pay $5.99, $8.99. Way too many 99, right? So you go because you want to utilize Hallmark to say something in a better way than you'd say it, right? Now, before we jump into chat, does your wife ever open that card and she think, he must have been out in the garage for the last week crafting this himself? Does she think that? She knows it came from Hallmark, right? She's still cool with it, right? Okay. So, one of the things we can do, let's say that I want to communicate better with my wife. I want to send a note to my wife. I could go buy a Hallmark card. Maybe I don't want something quite so formal. I simply want to be able to leave Holly a note tomorrow. Tell her how much I appreciate her, but maybe I'm not much of a writer. I don't feel like I'm good with words. I'd like to have a little bit of help, right? So, by the way, some of you ask, what even is ChatGPT? It's a free app. Go to your app store, whether you're iPhone, Android, or whatever. Type in ChatGPT, just all of that together. You can get it as a free download. It's going to look a little bit like a search engine right now. Mine says, what can I help with? Down at the bottom it says, ask anything. All right. I'm going to say this. I would like to write a love note of appreciation to my wife. Please help me in doing that. She has really been incredible in the last week as she has helped me while I recovered from surgery and even stepped up and helped with a lot of men's conference things as we were trying to get to that deadline. Please spend some words that shows my love and my appreciation for her. Don't fail me now, Chad.
You're welcome, Mark. I'm glad to help. And it's always a pleasure to hear that you're enjoying the process. Let me know if there's anything else you want to dive into next.
I didn't. I was doing this a little bit a while ago to make sure the signal worked and we had not have any glitches, and it didn't pick me up. We'll try it again.
No worries at all. It looks like everything's coming through just fine now. If you run into any more glitches or you just want to double check that everything's working.
I'd like to ask you for some help with a love note for my wife. Can you do that?
Of course, I'd be happy to help with that. Just let me know a little bit about what you'd like to say or the kind of tone you want, and we can definitely craft something sweet for her.
Sure thing. Her name is Holly, and she's really been great, especially in the last week, helping me as I've recovered from surgery, and even helping a lot with the men's conference that we have to put on, things that were not her job, but she really stepped up. I want her to know just how much I appreciate it and that I love her. I'd like it to have kind of a funny tone, but loving.
Absolutely. Let's make that happen. Here's a little something we can try. Dear Holly, you know they say behind every slightly wobbly post-surgery guy is an incredible woman holding everything together. And that's you. This past week you've been part nurse, part superhero, and part honorary men's conference coordinator, all rolled into one. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you stepping up in ways that weren't even in your job description. So consider this a with a wink and a big hug. You're amazing, and I love you more than all the conference name tags and coffee cups we can count. Love you tons. Feel free to tweet that however you like.
This is really great. I appreciate it. Can you make it into a poem with funny and quirky rhymes?
Absolutely. Let's turn it into a fun little poem for Holly. Roses are red, surgery's a chore, but you stepped right in and did so much more. With a wink and a smile, you've juggled it all. From conference capers to my every beck and call. So here's a quirky poem, just to let you know. You're the hero of my week, my star of the show. I love you to bits, and I'm grateful each day for all of your love in your own funny way. I hope that gives you a nice, smile-worthy rhyme for her.
That is great. Thank you so much for your help with it.
You're so welcome. I'm really glad you liked it, and I hope Holly enjoys it too. If you need anything else, just let me know.
Isn't that kind of cool? I apologize that I've got my volume turned up as much as possible. I should have brought in a mic for sake of this so that everybody could hear a little bit easier. But and you could go all day long with that. We're weird at our house. We write sea shanties and everything else. I could tell if you give me a sea shanty or put it in the form of a rap or anything. Like you can just kind of go back and forth with it. No, that's too much comedy. I want it more serious. Hey, can you include the fact that whatever. And it'll work with you all day long. If you're wanting to write a note like that, then I've got it on audio so you guys can hear it. But I can hit one button and I can see all that as text. You can copy and paste that, put that into a note, or send that as a text, or anything like that. And so, one simple, easy way that you can compose some words. And again, think like, does it even mean anything to her if it comes from some machine? Well, it meant something to her whenever I paid $6.99 at Hallmark to put it on a card, right? And so, your mileage can vary. You can decide what your relationships are like and so on. I'm not suggesting every word you ever say to your spouse now comes from chat. That's not going to work. But being able to utilize it in those kind of ways and say, hey, I want to put some words together in a particular way. Anybody feel like you're just really busy?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Chad. I was talking to my class and not necessarily to you on that, but I can understand how busy you are as well.
Oh, no problem at all. I can definitely imagine how busy things get, especially when you're juggling a class and everything else. But hey, I'm always here to help you or just to listen in whenever you need.
That's cool. But you might think, I do want to do just something simple, something nice, short and sweet. I've been running all day, whatever, and you want to just write the little sticky note to put on the mirror. But
Absolutely. You can totally keep it simple and just use it for something like a quick sticky note on the mirror. Even a short and sweet message can make a big difference and brighten somebody's day. So it doesn't have to be fancy at all.
Class chat.
should I just sit down and let you take over and teach the class, Chet?
Well, I appreciate the vote of confidence. I'm always here to help, but I think your class would definitely miss out on your personal touch and all your stories. But hey, whenever you need a little backup or a fun idea, I'm right here.
That's fun. Okay. So you can use it like that. Let's do something else. Who's a dad in here?
Absolutely. Let's switch gears. I'm totally up for whatever. Absolutely. Let's dive into something new. Just let me know what you have in mind, and we'll jump right in.
Okay, Chad, give me just a minute. We're going to give you a scenario about one of our children and ask you to give us some help with it in just 1 minute.
Absolutely. Take your time. Whenever you're ready at the scenario, just let me know, and I'll be here to help brainstorm and figure it out with you.
Okay, so someone give me an example. We're recording this and all, so don't give me personal stuff that you don't want out if you don't want it out. But something you're trying to work with your kid on, or a hill you're trying to get over.
My son has an issue with you go to tell him something and you're explaining something and the person
Got
out of
it.
his mouth is,
So
I
just-
know. I know out of
Absolutely.
everything attitude, I know what you're going to say, and you don't even say anything. But I know.
Understood. She's just colorful.
Totally understood. Sometimes it's all about finding a gentle way to help her recognize that attitude herself without making it a big confrontation. So whenever you have the scenario or the
Okay, chat. So if I've got a son who immediately wants to tell me he knows all the time, even before he's heard everything I have to say, what are a few creative ways that I can try to correct that without having to feel like the bad guy that's dropping the heavy all the time?
Absolutely. That could be a bit of a tricky one, but you can definitely find some creative ways. One idea is to turn it into a bit of a game. You could say something like, hey, let's play a listening game. I'll share the whole idea first, and if you can repeat it back to me, you get a point. That way it's a bit more playful and encourages him to listen all the way through. Another approach could be using a bit of humor. For example, you might say, okay, you've got superpowers of knowing things before I say them, but let's see if I can surprise you with something new this time. That sets a lighthearted tone. You can also let him take a turn explaining something to you afterward, so he feels heard and it becomes a two-way conversation. That way it's not just about correcting him, but making it more interactive. Let me know if any of those sound like a good fit, or if you want to try another angle.
How old is your son?
11.
Absolutely. I'm glad those ideas are helpful. Just let me know if you need anything else, or if you want to explore.
Thank you, Dr. Bullis.
My son is 11 that is struggling with that. Can you give me a few more ideas that might be more age appropriate?
Of course. For an 11-year-old, we can definitely tailor it a bit more to his age. One idea could be to give him a small listening challenge, almost like a mini mission. You might say, hey, let's see if you can be the secret listener for a day. If you can let me finish a whole idea before you jump in, you get to pick a fun activity we do together. That way he has a little incentive and it feels age appropriate. Another approach could be use something he's interested in, like if he's into a certain hobby or a game, and draw a parallel. You might say, you know how in your favorite game you have to wait for the whole story to unfold before you jump in? Let's try that here too. Makes it relatable for him. And if he's old enough to understand a little humor, you can also do a fun role reversal. Say, all right, how about you pretend to be the teacher and I'm the student? You tell me something, and I'll show you how I listen first. Sometimes showing him how it feels could be a gentle nudge without feeling too heavy. Let me know if any of these feel like a good fit.
Okay, if I'm going to do a little bit more of the role reversal, I kind of like that idea. If we're going to do that, can you expound on that a little bit or give me a few examples of how I might do it?
Absolutely. So with the role reversal idea, you can really have some fun with it. For instance, you can pick a time when you're both relaxed and say, all right, today you're the teacher and I'm the student. You can tell me about something you love, like your favorite game or a show, and I'll show you how I'm going to listen carefully. As he explains, you can model active listening, nod, ask a couple of follow-up questions, and show him that you're really engaged. Then you can gently say, see how I listened to the whole thing? Now let's swap back and you can try it with me. You can even get a little playful and pretend to be a bad listener for a moment, like jokingly interrupting him once and then...
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I was
exactly.
thinking of too.
Absolutely. It's a fun and lighthearted way to get the point across without it feeling too heavy or serious, and it gives you both a chance to have a little fun with it. So I think that'll be a great approach.
Turn the voice part off though for a minute. But with that, you see how you can get some interaction going and start a conversation with it. Sometimes it's in, sometimes it gives you instruction and you're like, thanks, man. Okay, cool. It's not. It's here to give you advice or information. If you don't like it, all you gotta do is say that. Like, no, I don't think we want to go down that path at all. What can I do that's more in lines of discipline? So, I don't know if you'll say that or not. You can talk to it about that. Hey, I really like that one idea you mentioned, chat. Tell me more about it, or let's explore it more together. So you can use it in those kinds of ways. Again, does that mean that chat is the end-all, be-all of parenting? No, absolutely not. As I was just trying to make sure everything was working with it for the sake of a demonstration earlier today, I made up a scenario and said, hey chat, I want to be able to spend some quality time with my daughter, but I'm really, really busy. I probably have like 2 20-minute segments this week. Give me a few ideas. And so it rattles off 3 or 4 ideas. You could do a craft together, or you could do this, or you could do that. You might check on that. And I said, okay, I like this idea of writing a story back and forth together that you mentioned. Tell me more about that. How could we do that in a fun, lighthearted way? And so then it gets into more of that. Okay, well, hey, get a journal. Just a couple of 20-minute segments would work. You take one of them and you start writing. You might start with a prompt about and it gave me some kind of, about a hamster who wants to be a superhero or something like that. Just something funny, lighthearted. You write, 4 or 5 lines. Now the journal's over to her. She writes 4 or 5 lines. And I was able to just kind of keep talking to it about that, to where it hones it in, where you might say, well, my kid's not much of a writer. They, they struggle with that and so on. And so then chat will say, okay, well, if not that, I don't know, maybe draw pictures to it, whatever. And so one of the things I love about chat is you start out with a really bad idea and turn it into a really, really good idea. Just by the continual nuance. No, I don't like that. I want it to be more like this. And whether it's, how do I correct something in my kids, as we're talking about a little bit here, how do I engage them in a different or better way? Could be that. So we talked a little bit about, let me see where I'm at on time. We talked a little bit about, being able to use it for communication and encouragement. Kind of the writing the love note to my wife kind of thing. And so you could use it that way. Of course, it's all only limited by your imagination. It may not be write a love note from my wife. It might be, hey, I want to tell my 12-year-old boy just how proud I am of him after he's done this, this, and this. But everything feels awkward. Here's a couple of points. Help me out. You got to write something. You read it. Whatever you think, tell it to Chad. Chad, that just feels kind of way too mushy. Okay, and Chad will do it 1,000 times. It don't care. It's just a computer spitting out stuff. It'll give you less mushy, right? Or however you want to tweak it to where, okay, cool. Maybe this will work to be able to connect with my son in that way or whatever. So communication and encouragement is one way you can use it to help yourself become a better dad, better husband. And again, if you feel like you're cheating somehow, just remember all the money you spent at Hallmark and you didn't feel like that was cheating then. American Greetings has gotten plenty of your money to say words for you. Or we even do the same thing with songs, right? When we sing songs, aren't we borrowing words from somebody else? Whether it's to sing praise to God or to communicate my love to my wife or what have you. That's exactly what that is. And so, you've done it in plenty of other places. So if you feel like a fraud, you've come too late. You were a fraud a long time ago singing somebody else's song. Using this tool is no different. That's one way, communication and encouragement. Let's see. We talked a little bit about using it kind of in that parenting role, or you might say leadership at home, with being able to say, hey, I've got this. The other thing I talked to Chad about a little bit ago as practice, this one is real life for me. So many of you know my daughter Jera, who's running around here this weekend, and she is great and wonderful in many ways. Jera has a bedtime of 8 o'clock at night, and rarely is Jera's head on a pillow with a light out at 8 o'clock at night. And that's true if she starts getting ready for bed at 7:40. It'd also be true if she'd start getting ready for bed at 6:40. It'd also be true if she started getting ready for bed at 1:40. She still wouldn't be quite ready for bed at 8 o'clock. It just, she gets sidetracked, whatever. So I started talking to Chad about that. I said, hey, my daughter has this bedtime. She almost never makes it, though, on time. She gets sidetracked with something, and it's hard to feel good about putting her to bed in a positive, lighthearted way when it has to have been with, hey, get busy, get busy, get busy, get busy, get busy for the last 10 minutes. What are a couple creative ways that I can tackle this? And so Chat starts talking to me about it, just like it did with one of the others. Hey, you might make a game out of it, let's see if you can do this. If you can do this 3 nights in a row, then, we'll get to have a special bedtime story on the 4th night. It's not a horrible idea. I don't mind reading to my kid anyway. And if we can, she loves competition just like the rest of us, maybe we can do it. You don't like that, you tell it, no, I want to go in a different route. You can continually iterate, though, with chat, is some of the idea. Let me point out a few other things. Our time is quickly moving. Other leadership at home kind of things. You can use chat to, if you're into like family devotions, chat can write your family devotions. If you're into any of that kind of thing, let's see. Chat, my family has been talking about love in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. can you give me 3 or 4 discussion questions with regard to what the New Testament says about love that we can use as we eat dinner together tonight? My kids are 18 and 10.
Absolutely, we can definitely do that. Here are a few discussion questions that might get everyone talking about love in a meaningful way. Defining love. 1 Corinthians 13 talks about love being patient and kind. What do you think it means to show patience or kindness in our everyday lives, maybe even with each other as a family? Love in action. Can you think of a time when you saw someone show a kind of love that really stood out to you? It could be something small or big, but something that made you think, wow, that was really loving. Challenges to love. Sometimes it's hard to be patient or kind. What are some situations where it's tough to show that kind of love? And how do you think we can work on it together as a family? And love beyond words. The passage also says that love isn't just about what we say, but what we do. What's one small living action we can each do this week to show love to someone else, whether in the family or outside of it? Feel free to use any of those questions to get the conversation going over dinner.
Thanks for that. Would you also be able to give me a list of 3 or 4 relevant scriptures that I could print out and we could work on learning together this week?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to share a few relevant scriptures that tie into that theme of love. Here are a few that you might find meaningful. 1 John 4:7-8. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God, and whoever loves has been born of God and knows God. Anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love. John 13:34-35. A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also are to love one another. By this, all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. Romans 12:9-10. Let love be genuine, abhor what is evil, hold fast to what is good. Love one another with brotherly affection, outdo one another in showing honor. Colossians 3:14. And above all these, put on love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. You can print these out and maybe even put them somewhere visible so you can all practice them together.
That's great, thank you. What can you give me that will help my wife be really, really loving to me?
Well, I think you're already on the right track by focusing on these conversations about love. But on a practical note, sometimes the best way to encourage that is just to keep showing her appreciation like you're already doing. Little gestures. You're so welcome. It's always a pleasure to help out with these kinds of things. If you need any ideas or just want to chat through something else, just let me know.
Chet often has a sense of humor, and you can tell it how much humor you want it to have. You can tell to clap back at you on the regular, like if you like that.
Absolutely, you can count on me anytime. I'm always here to help out and chat things in whenever you need.
You can kind of set it up however you want it. It can really push back on you if you want that kind of thing. But you see how whether you like the whole 1 Corinthians 13 and the love idea and the talking about it at dinner or not, I don't know if that's your thing or if it isn't. But you see how, like, I took that and then you just kind of keep nuancing it. Like, well, what if I wanted to do an activity off of this? And it's like, hey, you want me to make you a printable list? Yeah, I'm in a printable list. Absolutely, I do. That kind of thing where you can just kind of keep working with it. I could have told Chad, hey, give me age-appropriate exercises for that we want to do around love or whatever it is. And so, if family devotions are your thing or that kind of thing, you can use it, 5 minutes you can have something ready to go so that you can use that time with your family. We're all busy. Just like you might pull a book or a piece of curriculum or a lesson and utilize out of it, you can do customized things there. Conversation starters, explaining tough Bible passages to kids. Your kid comes to me reading this and I'm not sure what it means. And you look at it and you go, I don't know what in the world it means either. And so you're smart though, and you say, that's a great question. I'll get back to you. All right? It's a good place to go and say, like, here, explain this to me like I'm 8. And then it will, and then you're like, okay, I still don't get it. Explain it like I'm 6. But nonetheless, you can use it for stuff like that. Other things I'll just have to read off to you because we're already past our time. I'll wrap up here in a few short minutes. Drafting chore charts or schedules, meal ideas to reduce stress at home. If you're the one in charge of meals and whatever, and that takes up a lot of time, you can tell Chat stuff like, hey, give me meals under $20, suppers this week that I can use hamburger for. And it'll kick out different meals. He said, okay, I like 1 and 2 and 4. Give me a list of ingredients that I'm going to need to go to the store and get for that. It'll spit out the list of ingredients. It can do all this. My wife used it in prepping this week, where we're feeding 275 people or so. We don't usually do that at our house, although sometimes it can seem like it with my teenage boys. And so, sometimes, of course, you can just take a recipe and double it or 10 times it or whatever. Sometimes it's a little bit more nuanced than that. And so she worked with Chat on a number of things. Like, here's a recipe I want to use, but I'm serving 250 people, and it's got to be able to stay hot for this long or be good as we're moving people through a line or whatever. And again, will it always give you the perfect answer every time? No, but it starts to work with you, and then you kind of work the nuance back and forth. Well, no, I can't do that because I don't have 3 football fields to lay it out on, Chat. It's got to be confined to a space like this. Oh, okay. And so then it will work with you again. So as we're talking today, though, about being a dad, being a husband, you can think in terms of communication and encouragement. Think in terms of leadership in the home, whether that's helping plan family devotions, working through Bible passages, meal ideas, or making chore charts. Hey, what's age appropriate things for my kids to do to learn a little bit of money, anything like that. Anything along those areas. Last thing I'll just make mention, all of us are busy, so as we think about, work-life balance and that kind of thing, again, you can use it for some planning tasks. I mentioned meal prep lists, trip itineraries, project outlines. Think of it as like your smartest friend in just about any area. Where sometimes you can call your dad or your buddy or whoever and say, hey, tell me how to do this, or how would you do that? You can start with Chat in that area. And while you didn't hear me doing a whole lot of it there because I was trying to do some more interactive stuff for your sake, I do strongly suggest give Chat, when you're prompting Chat, give it context. Here's what I'm trying to do and why. Then tell it the expert role you want it to take. Take on the role of a Christian father who's committed to biblical values. And then tell it what you want to do. Give me some ways that I can help grow within my son the spiritual fruits of love and joy and peace. So tell it what I want to do. Tell it who it should be. Tell it what the outcome is I'm looking for. And then away you go. I used it a while back. I'm building a tree house for my daughter. And it's fun. And I'm also like, I haven't connected the trees before. I'm not sure how much weight a tree can hold, how much weight the screws into the tree can hold, how all that works. I start talking to Chad about it. So take on the role of an expert carpenter working in the backyard, in the trees. It's like, all right, cool, I got you. And it starts throwing all the carpenter stuff out of me, and these loads ought to be this, but it puts it in terms that I can understand. Work with it. No. I need it to be more like this, less like that. That kind of thing. Chat can help you in any number of ways. It's no addition, just like anything else. But just like, the fact that you own a drill may have helped you in many ways, or more likely, the fact that you own a smartphone has bailed you out a number of times, right? Where you go, oh no, we're having a picnic, and the clouds are rolling in. Oh, I have a weather app, right? It's a tool, okay? Or I need to buy something and I need it here tomorrow. Amazon, here we go. It's a tool. Chat, same thing. It's a tool. It'll give you direction and advice. Said it's not the Bible. It's not Jesus Christ, that's for sure. But as you see with some of the stuff we've done, we're just a little bit of work. And it's one of those things, the more time you invest with it a little bit, you start to figure out how it works a little bit more, figure out the nuance, and then you're getting really good stuff back in terms of being dad and being husband, as well as just about anything.
Thank you for listening. For more information, resources, and upcoming events, please visit IllinoisMen'sMinistries.com.